Hey, those of you online, thanks for your patience. The training room is just clearing out from a previous class, so I'll be starting here in about 2 minutes. Again, I appreciate you.
Oh, for sure. I'll keep you.
For the better.
It was amazing. Yeah. Want to try some cookies?
Yeah.
That was amazing. They were really good.
Whoa, okay.
Ever heard of Tate's?
Cookie bark. Yeah, I've tried Tate's before. Thanks.
I think I know, man. Yeah, go for it. Oh my god.
Whose is this?
It's like the Tate's cookies you can find in the grocery stores. No, but this one is like it's at new, so I gotta try it out. That's really good. What time was that? 1:50?
One was supposed to be the class start, but I'll start in about 2 minutes here. All right, if you're joining online, I am just going to be signing into Command. If you want to do so as well, feel free to go ahead and sign into Command, and then we'll get going on DocuSign in just a minute here. Sorry, I have to start a class at 1. It's 1:07. No problem. I have to start a class right now.
Okay, yeah.
No problem. Oh, wow. That was quite the crowd. Apparently right on time today. All right, guys. So we are doing DocuSign today. So I'll be taking you through how to access your forms in DocuSign, how to get them signed, how to fill them out, and how to submit them for compliance review too. So if you need a coffee or water or anything, feel free. It's time, yes. And then we'll get rolling. All right, and if you were watching online, I'm just going to go ahead and share the notes for today's class while everyone here gets situated. So if you are online, I'll put this in the Zoom chat so you don't have to go look for it, but just so you guys know where the tech notes are for classes. So on kwbresources.com, that's the internal site for all of the agents here. So just so you know, all of the class notes will be under Tech Resources, and that second option down is Tech Tuesday. That's what this class is. And that has the calendar and all the notes. So if you do want to grab those under Tech Resources, the second option down for Tech Tuesday calendar. And again, I'll put the link in the Zoom chat so you don't really have to go do this. But just so you know, that'll tell you like the topic of the class. And then as we scroll down, this is where all the different notes are, and DocuSign is what we're doing today. So if you wanted to click that to pull it open, you absolutely can. But again, I'll share that in the chat. Let's see. So if you go to this page, throwing this in the chat. All right, you guys. Okay, so what I'm showing you guys, and if you want to see this as well, on kwbresources.com, I just wanted to show you that this is where all the tech notes are. So if you're on kwbresources.com, you can hover over Tech Resources, and that Tech Tuesday option will have the DocuSign notes if you want them. I'll pull it up in class. So again, Tech Tuesday here, and that'll take you right to this. So you will need to scroll down past this graphic to actually find the DocuSign notes. But then you can simply click on it and open those DocuSign notes right away. And I'll send you this link to this page in the Zoom chat, you guys. So if you want to just click on it from there and then select DocuSign, you can.
It may be just me, but I'm not seeing your screen.
Okay, let me try again here. All right, it says I'm screen sharing. Anyone else online? Are you guys able to see my screen? I can stop share and reshare.
I can see it. Have you tried clicking start video? Maybe if you click start video, maybe it might help.
Well, it'll probably see me. Any luck? I'm not sure who said they couldn't see my screen, but let me know if that gives you.
Okay, I can see the office, but I can't see what you're sharing. I may have to just rejoin. Sorry.
Oh.
Thank you.
No worries. And yeah, I don't know if it helps, but right, you should be able to see on the right-hand side, maybe to switch your view. I'm not sure if like on the top right here, you can show it in like a grid view or change that. Not sure if that helps. Let me know if I can help further. All right, guys. So where we are starting our DocuSign process, okay, is going to be in your command account. All right, so I'm going to take you through, and that's what these notes will show you as well. So just to pull open the notes I just shared with you guys and what you're seeing here, everything that I'm going to say is broken down here into 10-minute videos about. So they're tip videos. So you have two ways depending on how you learn best. If you prefer to learn by written notes, I just wanted to let you know steps 1 through 10 on how to do a transaction in Command with DocuSign. That's that first link. So if you do want to pull that open, you absolutely can. Outside of that, you'll see the broken down tip videos on DocuSign. So let's say you forget everything that I said, and let's say you have a transaction next month. This highlighted one will be the top one to watch. It'll overview what I'm saying in about 30 minutes. And this also, just so you guys know, this is the one thing to remember, that this video, how to use DocuSign with Command, is always on the homepage of kwbresources.com. So if you lose those notes, just know you can go to kwbresources.com anytime and just scroll down past the leadership team. And this video right here, that's how you to use DocuSign with Command in less than 30 minutes. So just so you guys know, when you actually have a transaction, that's where you can go to follow along. You can pause that video and do it with me. That's personally how I learned how to use all the KW technology. All right, guys. So let's dive into that. Let's go through those steps now. Okay, and I'll pull open what those steps are for your reference to show you kind of how we're paralleling it. But the first thing that we'll always do is log into Command. So you'll see right here, right? So these are the steps. And if you need help getting here, just let me know, right? How I got here was clicking on from KWB resources. I went to the tech resources to Tech Tuesday. And then I selected DocuSign from that list. As I did have to scroll down to select DocuSign, and that pulls open these notes here, and that'll give you like an overarching view of all the tip videos and all of the notes for DocuSign. I'm clicking on the top option if you do like to read notes, written notes. That's the first one, and I'll tell you steps 1 through 10, and I'm just going to parallel it, so even if you don't have it open, I can send it to you directly, but just to show you guys how this will follow in those steps. So step 1, we're logging into Command. So that's agent.kw.com, like it's the agent login for kw.com. So that's how you remember that, because I know a lot of people want to type in command.com, but right, it's agent.kw.com. It's the agent login for kw.com. Okay. So it will prompt you to log in with your username and password typically. All right, your password is case sensitive, so it will need an uppercase letter, just a reminder. Okay, but it is really important that you always start your transactions in Command with DocuSign. Okay, it's really important that you don't go to DocuSign directly to start your transactions. Okay, so the steps we're about to go through to start a transaction in Command is the steps to link the two together. As long as you create it initially in Command, it will then link to DocuSign to make your life way easier and take you through that workflow. So I'm going to start you steps 1 through 10 here on how to do that. And just so you know, right, I'm referencing these, right? So step 1, I logged in. Step 2, we're going to add our client to our database. Okay, so I'm going to have my Command database. So I have Command open here. And again, if I lost anyone switching through tabs, right, this is just agent.kw.com to log into Command. And I'm going to add my contact to the contact database. All right, so if you have a contact in there that's already a test contact you like to use, great, you can search for that test contact. But again, I'm selecting the Contacts tab on the left-hand side Command menu, and either search for a practice contact, or if you want to click on Add Contact on the top right here, it'll pop up allowing you to add a practice contact. And I would recommend having a test contact or practice contact in here because then you can see what it looks like when you receive things from the system before you send it to everyone you know. All right, so if you want to put in practice contact or your favorite movie star, whatever it is, okay, and then an email address, I would recommend doing an email address that you have, a personal email address, again, so you can see what it looks like when you receive forms from DocuSign, for example. Just a heads up, if you already have your email account in there, though, it won't let you duplicate it. So just so you know, if you do add your email and click create and it gives you an error, it does avoid duplicates automatically. So the main thing to know here is that DocuSign wants you to add your contacts in as two separate people. So John and Jane Smith would not be one contact. It would be John Smith as one contact, Jane Smith as the other, so they can both individually sign these documents, okay? So this is step one. We're adding the contact. You mainly need their name and their email, and you can click create. But of course, guys, feel free to ask me any questions about what you're seeing that I don't cover on the screen, because I'm going to cover the things that relate to DocuSign. But if you have questions on other fields, I'm here for it. All right, so I put in their name and their email, and then I click create on the bottom, and that takes me over to their contact profile. And that's what I'm looking at right here, right? So you can see that you can edit any of this information on the left-hand side, right? So this is all the contact information on the left-hand side. And I can edit any of that by clicking the pencil icon. Just a heads up, that's how I can go back and edit that. As far as on the right-hand side, right, this is where you'll see more of their activity, okay? So your timeline will show you everything that that contact is doing. Okay, in this class, we're going to be talking about opportunities. So opportunities and DocuSign work hand in hand, okay? When you hear opportunities, it's just as corny as it sounds. It's their opportunity for a sale, right? So that's managing your transactions is your opportunities, right? Potential sales. So to start a new transaction, I would always recommend looking up the contacts, so whether you have them in your database or you need to add them, and then selecting the opportunities tab, and that will show you if you have any existing opportunities for that person as well. Did they buy from you a few years ago? Or, you know, are they buying a home? Are they selling their home with you and buying the next home? In that case, it would be two separate files because it's two separate properties. And we'll explore that further, okay, actually, as we create this opportunity. If you can follow me by clicking the opportunities on the right-hand side of the contact record and click create opportunity, what you're doing is you're creating the transaction to A, put it on your pipeline so you can stay on top of it, but B, so you can grab all the forms that you need for this specific transaction, and all of the client information will autofill onto those forms. So to take you through how that looks, right, I clicked on create opportunity on the right-hand side, and there's only 3 fields you have to fill out. I'm happy to answer questions on all of them, but the 3 to keep an eye out for, I'm not sure this is on the notes, so if you do want to jot this down, that might be helpful. There's a lot of fields, but really the 3 you have to fill out is opportunity type. So is this a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant? I'm going to do listing for today, but if you want to do buyer, it's the same concept. It won't make a difference. So that's the first field you have to fill out. Second field is making sure your client displays. If there is a co-seller on the transaction, right, you can go ahead and add their name here. So if there is a wife, let's say, it's showing who's in my contact database already, and I could go ahead and add the wife here if I wanted to as well, right? But we're going ahead and putting in the client and the co-seller. And the third and final field you have to fill out is just the commission rate on the very bottom. This is changeable, so if they haggle you down to 2.5%, you know, that's no big deal. I would recommend putting in what you averagely charge, so 3%. It's talking about your side of the transaction, not the entire 6%. So it's talking about your commission rate for 3%. So again, the fields we just filled out are the opportunity type. We selected a listing. The client we had to fill out. And the third one is the commission rate. Okay, so those are 3 fields you have to fill out in order to create your opportunity. Again, I'm happy to answer questions on any of the fields. If you have them, go for it. But if not, you can go ahead and click create, and it'll create that opportunity. Okay, so let's talk about when. When do we create opportunities? Okay, so it's pretty obvious if they're like, okay, I want to list my house. Okay, well, that's an opportunity, right? Then we would create an opportunity at that time. But your opportunities do go above and beyond just managing your transactions. So if you can stay where you are, I just want to kind of explain the power of opportunities without losing you too much. So if you want to stay where you are on your screen, or you can follow me, I just want to show you that the contact section, so that's where we are, right? That's where I told you you can create these opportunities on the right-hand side, is where you can see, okay, have I already created this opportunity? If you can't remember, right, you can always check, you can see. Are they selling their home with you and then buying the next home? In that case, you would have two separate opportunities here. One is a listing and a second one is a buyer, okay? And the reason behind that is all of this information is going to autofill into DocuSign, meaning all the property information. So that's why it's separated by the property. You have an opportunity for properties you sell. So again, if you're selling their house and then helping them buy the next one, that would be two different opportunities because it's two different properties. Does that make sense to everyone? Love it, need it, gotta have it. Okay, so to bring this in, because I want to address the question, when do I create an opportunity, okay, in general, because our contact database, and this is something that not very many agents understand, and so they're underutilizing opportunities, only using it for, to put in a contract to get paid. But what the power of opportunities actually is, so the contact section, that's where we put all of your contacts, right? Your entire database, everyone you know, even if you're sure they're not going to sell, in the near future, right? We want to have all of your contacts in the contacts applet here so that you can automatically reach out to them, set up automation, so you're not having to do all that legwork to keep up with them. Whereas the opportunities section, okay, and that's a few down, the opportunities applet is the one with the handshake here. If I click the KW logo, right, it tells me what's what. I just click the KW logo to make that pan out. I just want to show you what the opportunities section does and the power of it to encourage you to enter opportunities earlier. So where you have all contacts in your contact database, we don't add an opportunity until we have a meaningful conversation with the person about selling real estate. So let's say they tell you, okay, I am interested in buying a new home, but probably not for the next year, 6 months, whatever that might be, right? Okay, well, how would you stay top of mind to them, right? How can you make sure that you are 6 months, a year? That's a long time when you have other transactions going. So if you were to create an opportunity, right, which we did from the contact record, but you'll see you can also do that from here, and it'll be the same steps. You don't have to do this with me. I just want to show you, right? Creating the opportunity, this looks the exact same, right? But what it allows you to do is add your opportunity to the pipeline so you can then take a look. It'll have checklists in there. Okay, what have I done for this opportunity? What do I need to do further to move them down the pipeline? Because guess what? If you have one meaningful conversation with them, let's say they're looking to buy in a year. Well, if you don't reach out to them for an entire year, they're probably going to find another relationship with an agent, and they're going to take that from you, right? So when you learn that someone's looking to buy in the future, now, however long in advance you want to gauge that is up to you and your business. I like a year as far as when I start adding them to my pipeline. Right. And then I'll be able to see, okay, what have I done for this client? What else do I need to do to move them to an appointment? Right. Maybe we need to be checking in monthly to see, hey, are you ready yet? Hey, I saw this house that might really be your dream home based on what you've told me. Right. It allows you to really just control your touches. And we have a whole opportunities class, and I can dive into this further. Your main takeaway, I know this is a lot to take in at once. Your main takeaway is that you have these pipelines, and I want to encourage you to create these opportunities when you have a meaningful conversation with someone about real estate, and not when they're just like, hey, I'm ready to buy right now. That's what most agents do, right? Because you have to do that to get your paperwork. They're missing out on all of the abilities of this pipeline to allow you to cultivate those leads and stay on top of it without the mental load of it, okay? Any questions on the opportunities side? I'm going to go deeper into it, but I just want you guys to know that the two correlate really well together. So that's the handshake icon and then the contacts icon. So if you want to follow me, we're now going to go into DocuSign. Now you can find your opportunity, okay, because this will be really helpful for you guys. You can find your opportunity in a few different ways. So let's say I know I created the opportunity. So I can either look for it on my pipeline here. So if you are here, you'll be able to click on any of these fields to see, like the cultivate or appointment, to see any opportunities you have in there. Or of course, you can click all opportunities on the top to see a whole list of those. Now, my personal favorite way to find opportunities is to look for them from the contact record itself, how I guided you at first. Okay, so I want you to see that you can search your opportunities from the opportunities section itself. But instead, if you could join me to the contacts, I find this is a much more practical way to go about finding if you have an opportunity, and agents that don't do it this way end up accidentally creating 5 different opportunities sometimes because they keep forgetting that they had one created. So I would really recommend always coming to the contacts to search for that contact name. Then once you click on the contact, you'll be able to see that opportunity on the right-hand side. So I know that I created that and I can access it right from here. Okay. Any questions on how to create an opportunity, why to create an opportunity, why we have a pipeline, any of that? Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Nope. So this is command. So you'll need to, yeah, we're about to press that button. It's really important that you take these steps to start each transaction though, because you'll see it'll connect DocuSign in the proper way to this actual opportunity. I'll show you that further, but that's in the next couple clicks. We're going into DocuSign. So if I click on the opportunity that I created, that'll bring me into the details of the opportunity, okay? And what this does is any information in the details here will autofill into DocuSign. All right, so how we get into DocuSign, this next few workflow steps are really important. I will overview it, but this is how we always want to set up our DocuSign room is we create the opportunity first, right? We did that. Now step 2, I'm selecting the Documents tab in here. And I'll repeat these steps because this next one's really important. So before we click Start a Transaction, because how we get into DocuSign is clicking this big blue button, which don't do it, that says Start a Transaction. But before we do that, if you want all the forms that you need for a transaction to automatically pull into your room, all you have to do is click Pick Checklist Type on the left-hand side and select, let's say this is a North Carolina listing / sale. So you're telling the system, okay, is this South Carolina, North Carolina, so it knows which forms are required for your transaction. So once I do that, once I select the checklist, you'll notice some of the documents. So this is going to show you a checklist of documents that you need to get your paycheck, okay? This is just showing you a checklist. These are not the forms themselves that you're going to use to have your client sign. All right, but what you are seeing is this blue DS right here will show you all these forms will automatically pull into your DocuSign room when I click Start a Transaction, okay? So this is really important, these workflow steps, because if I don't click a checklist, right, if I leave that unchecked and click Start a Transaction, it's not the end of the world, just no forms pull in, and I have to go manually find each one, all right? So if you want all of your forms that you need for this transaction to automatically pull into your DocuSign room, step 1, we created the opportunity in command first. Step 2, on the Documents tab of the opportunity, we selected the checklist name. And this has to be done before you click Start a Transaction or it won't pull in your forms, period. There's no way to go back. Okay. So now that I click Start a Transaction, you probably only have DocuSign link, so it probably won't give you this option. But I'll go ahead and select DocuSign. And that will pull it up in a separate tab so you can go ahead and log in. And you will typically need to know your DocuSign login the first time that you log in each day. Okay, and now you'll see, and I'm in the Documents tab of my DocuSign room, and all of these forms are automatically in there because I selected that checklist first. Does that make sense? So that workflow is really important, that we start the opportunity in command first. So it's really important that you do not go to DocuSign directly to start transactions. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time. It's really important that you do not go to DocuSign directly to start your DocuSign room. After that, okay, let's say I just did this, right? Yay, I created that. So now if I want to go directly to DocuSign, I absolutely can, and I can access this anytime. It's specifically the workflow that matters is when you first start this, it needs to start in command so that A, it'll pull over all the DocuSign forms you need, but then B, it'll make it so that when your sign forms come back, you can easily pull them over back to command with a click of a button, okay? So were we clear on that workflow and why it's important? You guys feel okay on that? Okay, great. All right, so now that I'm in DocuSign, all I need to do is click to open a form to start editing it, okay? So these forms did automatically pull in, right? But if I did want to add other forms, right? So if there were additional forms I need, just so you guys know, you can come up to Add on the top right. And you can either add that from your computer, but if you're wanting like a DocuSign form, you can just start typing in. That's that second option there. Okay, so just so you guys know, if I come to add on the top right and select DocuSign forms, that'll give me all of my editable forms, meaning I can just type in all of these. Okay, so then on the left-hand side, this is where I would figure out, all right, is this a North Carolina sale or listing? Sabra sorts these on the left-hand side here. So you can sort by folder, as you can see on the very top, or if you want to search the entire library, right? But the idea is if you need any additional forms, you can simply click on the form name and click Add Selected. Other than that, though, right, a bulk of your forms should already be in your room because they did pull over automatically. So let's talk about editing these forms. So to edit any of these forms, we simply click to open it. All right, and when you click and open it, if it gives you a red bar at the top that says you don't have access to forms, let me know, and I can guide you to put your NERDS ID in. So if anyone online, if it shows you like a red bar that says you don't have access to that form, if you don't mind chiming in, because I'm going to assume everyone has form access unless you say otherwise. All right, so filling out the form. First of all, remember how I told you that it autofills information in? See how my clients' names are already at the top and my brokerage name? So the cool thing about these forms is they autofill back and forth, right? At the beginning, I didn't have the property information, let's say. Well, if I come down here and I fill out the property information, when I click Save and Close at the top, it'll autofill that information onto all the other forms in my DocuSign room that require the address, which is quite a bit of them, right? So as you're going through, editing these forms are as simple as clicking and typing, right? So clicking and typing will allow you to start editing these forms, which is wonderful, right? Any radio dot, you can simply click. Like there's some check boxes. So some things to note is, first of all, the initial fields won't show on this part, okay? And that's different than dot loop if you're used to dot loop, but you will not see initial fields or signature fields added at this point. All we're doing is going through and editing it. So let's say you have a client who does not trust electronic signatures, or let's say you don't like electronic signatures. You don't want to deal with technology. You just want to print out this form and have them hand sign it. Maybe you're going on a listing appointment. You want to explain it to them, whatever the case may be. Just know that's completely fine. You do not have to use these signatures in your business. Obviously, it makes your life a little easier if you don't have to be driving to their house to get them to sign things. But first, just to show you, if you wanted to, right, you could go through, type up the entire thing, right? I would recommend clicking Save and Close first and then pulling it back up before printing it. I've just seen if I don't click Save, then it sometimes prints not all complete. So again, those steps are I type in the form, I click Save and Close, and then I'll pull up the form again because this is where the document actions are. And you can print in bulk, which I'll show you next too. But you see that little icon on the top right that looks like a piece of paper with like a dog ear folded or whatever it's called, right? That's where we have those options. So if you wanted to just download it or print it from here, you absolutely could, because then you'd have a really nice typed in form, right? It looks really professional. But then at that point, you know, you can talk about anything further, whether that's your commission or you want to explain things about it, and then they can sign it in person. Okay, so just know that that's an option. And then you can just upload the signed version, and I'll show you that in a little bit here. Right, but that is one option. We type up the entire form, click Save and Close, bring it back up to print, okay? So now that we have that method, let's talk about how to get it e-signed, because that's, of course, the main purpose of DocuSign. All right, so what I want to show you now is that you can bulk print things, or you can bulk do any of those actions that we just saw. So let's say, okay, I'm going on a listing appointment. Well, I obviously need, let's say, the working with real estate agents along with the exclusive right to sell, let's say. All right, please notice when I click the check, see this checkbox right here? When I uncheck it, this menu is going to disappear. So I just want to show you this bulk action menu just isn't even there until you check a form. I find that a little difficult because it's like playing hide and go seek on you guys. So if you can just remember to check the check boxes first, then you'll see this bulk action menu appear. And they're all icons, which don't do you a whole lot of good, but you'll notice if you hover your mouse over each one, it tells you what it does, right? So if you did want to print those forms, great. You could press print, it would print both those forms, and you can go on your merry way. Now, let's say you're, though, trying to do the DocuSign way, right? and you're trying to get it e-signed, okay, that pin icon right there, the term create envelope, that's always going to be the term to go to the next part in order to add your clients. And I'll make more sense of this in a second here, but for now, if you can just go ahead and check the check boxes, any of the documents, and then click the pin icon that displays to create an envelope. And that is a new term to me in DocuSign, so that's probably new to you. So I'll channel snail mail for you in a second here. But the first thing it does when you create an envelope is like, yeah, channeling snail mail. Okay, what do you do when you have an envelope? You need to put who is going to. Okay, so I'll add my sellers. And since it's a form I need to sign, I'm going to add myself. Okay, so you only need to add yourself, like the listing agent in this case, if it's a form that you're going to sign. And we'll walk through this more, right? But we're adding our sellers. And the listing agent, it's exclusive right to sell. So I sign that as the agent. And it usually does take a solid 30 seconds to load. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat. You don't have the
What would
print.
be the seller entity?
I think it's, and feel free anyone to chime in and correct me if you think differently, but I think it's if they have like maybe a trust or an LLC. Any thoughts on that further? To be honest, I don't see agents use it. So, you know, and if you do run into a situation where there's a trust or an LLC, you know, feel free to email us and I can help guide you through that. I'm going to put on my email in the chat too. So like if you guys run into anything weird that I'm not covering in today's DocuSign class, I do specialize in DocuSign, so I can help you with all of that. And I'll show you how to make an appointment with us as well, because I can go through DocuSign one-on-one too. Crystal, that's super weird. You don't have a print icon. I'm going to have to look at that. I can't tell you I know why off the top of my head. That's very strange if you're checking the checkbox, but Crystal, remind me or shoot me an email if you don't mind, and I will absolutely take a look at your account.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so what we're looking at here is what DocuSign calls the envelope, okay? And just like snail mail, okay, if I were going to send forms via snail mail, the first thing I would do is grab an envelope, okay? I picked which documents are going in the envelope. Great. Step 3, I picked who's receiving the documents, okay? So there's not a whole lot I have to do at this point, right? I have the documents. If I want to add more, I can, right? And I have my recipients, and I'm going to come back to this in just a second. And there's also a place to add a message if you want to, like if you guys talked over the phone about, you know, the second page on the property disclosure to guide them. Of course, you can give them any notes here, but this is optional. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about the signing order, right? So you'll see this 1, 2, and 3 next to it. This was a change they made not too long ago to default to this. So you have 2 options here. Either you can make it so all parties receive the form at the exact same time to sign, or, okay, and to do that, which I like that option, okay, so to do that, all I need to do is uncheck this checkbox, okay? So if I want, when I press send, that all of these people receive the form at the same exact time, just uncheck that checkbox and you're good, okay? Now, if I want it to be, though, that this person will receive it, and then once they do their part, so once they sign, then the wife will receive it. And once she does her part, in this case signing, then the listing agent will receive it, right? So really it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. There are strategies that you can use from this, but really it's just you knowing, like if you send this in this order, right? And you let all of them know, hey, the form just sent over. Well, the wife's going to be mighty confused because it won't be in her inbox until after her husband signs. Is that clear what that does? Now, in my opinion, you guys don't really need to use that. I would recommend just unchecking this every time. There are times that you can use it. It's a really cool feature. You can make it so that, you know, if you have an admin or the mortgage provider can automatically receive it after everyone signs, or, you know, if you want their parents to automatically receive it. So there's some cool reasons to use this. I would recommend, though, for right now, your knowledge, uncheck it so they all receive it at once would be my recommendation. Let me just put in. Let me know if you have questions on that. I'm happy to answer them. It is a cool feature. It's just kind of a next level feature that you don't need to know at this point. Okay. All right. So, and I can see that defaults, they can all sign, right? So now I'm clicking next. This is the final phase. There's honestly nothing more you have to do except check it over. So I'm clicking next on the bottom right here. And it's going to show me my forms one more time, but now it has the initial fields. So for your reference, there's nothing you have to do here except check it over and click send on the bottom right there in yellow. However, to show you what to check over, okay, let me draw your attention to these fields on the bottom. All right, I do want to show you guys that these different colored fields here correlate to your client on the top left. So you'll notice a drop-down menu, and all this is set up automatically. So there's nothing you have to do at this point, except I want you guys to feel free or have the understanding to know that, okay, this client is a blue dot, this one's purple, this one's yellow, so I can see the correlation of who can sign which fields, right? And I can see very quickly if all of the clients are able to sign. So on the right-hand side, you'll see the different pages, right? And you'll see the 3 different colors. The gray color is telling you have like fields on here for text. Right, I can see all 3 of the different colors, right? The different colored dots up here. They all have signing fields on each page, right? So that's one thing I kind of check over to know, okay, they can sign everywhere. And the only other thing I usually do so that I can sleep at night is click preview on the top right. Know that you don't have to do this, but if you click on preview on the top right, you can then select which client you're interacting as. And this is just a test, so you're not actually signing as them. But let's say I'm interacting, as one of these, I can change that. And then once I click start, this is exactly what your client sees. They click start, they get pulled down to the first field to sign. They click to sign, it pulls them down to the next one. Now, the first time that they go to sign, it does pop up showing what you put their name in as. So if you misspelled their name, or if you put in Bill, but their legal signing name is William, they will have the opportunity to change that before signing, just so you guys know. And then it takes them down to the bottom of each, or to the next field that they have to sign. So it really makes it foolproof for them to make sure they're signing all of the fields. So all we did right here is really just preview it so we can sleep at night. We know we set it up correctly, but of course you don't have to do this part. I'm going to click on X to get out of the preview. And that's it. We press send. Please. You can. So the question for those of you online is, if you, let's say you entered a date wrong on the form, or you missed a dash or a comma, whatever, a minor detail, can you go back and edit it after they sign? The answer is yes, you can. So, and I'll show you how it comes back next. As when it comes back as a signed form, it's going to be a totally separate copy of the form coming back as a PDF, and I'll show you this live so that it makes more sense. So you're going to have a separate copy that you can then lay fields on to edit it. So if you wanted to like strike it through, put a text box for the correct, what it should be, and then if you need to get that then signed by them, any changes, that is doable. And I'll show you the how on that. Because compliance wise, right, they would need to sign for any changes in theory. Now I know some of the things you're talking about are maybe more like minor details. So in that case, maybe ask Tasha. You can do it. It's just compliance wise. I don't know if you need the signature typically, right? So what I want to show you is I'll show you guys how signed forms look when they come back, and also how you sign them. Okay. So what happened so far, right? We typed up the form. We said who it needs to go to, we checked it over, and we press send. So now it takes me to this envelope section, okay? So just so you guys know, we spent all of our time so far in the documents tab. That's where we access our forms, type in them. So the main 2 spots you spend in DocuSign is documents and envelopes, okay? And envelopes, that's going to have a separate one like this each time that you send one or a group of forms out. So let's say the next group of forms is the residential property disclosure and mineral, oil, gas rights, whatever, right? That will then be a second envelope that shows that you sent a next group of forms to them. Now, why this comes into play, okay, is I can sign from here and I can see if my clients have signed in an overview. So this one right here, it says needs my signature, so I'm going to click on it. So 2 things. First of all, it'll show me, did I send it like with that 1, 2, 3 order? Remember how I showed you that? Because if that's the case and you didn't realize it, and the second seller said I didn't get it, well, that's why, right? They're not going to get it till the first person signs, right? You can see if they did sign it, it'll check it off, right? And then if you need to sign, so if you need to sign, you can sign from here, and it will send it to your email as well, so that you can sign it from your email. Just so you guys know, you can do either one. So I can click on sign. And now it's going to prepare my signature and allow me to sign. And then I can go through and I can sign all the fields that it wants me to. Okay, so that's how you can sign. Let's see if I can just get out of this without finish later. Okay. So again, it'll come to your inbox to sign, or you can sign from the envelopes tab. And again, you're only signing via forms that, of course, require your signature, things like the listing agreement, buyer agency agreement, right? You are not signing all of the forms, of course. All right, so this is in the envelopes tab, but now let's take a look at what it looks like when forms come back signed, because that is different than DocuSign, so I want you guys to feel comfortable with that. I'm going to go to a different room that has signed forms, but in case you want to go to your documents tab, you can. And then if you just watch on my screen, I'm going to show you what it looks like when signed forms come back. Okay. So signed forms in DocuSign. So first of all, I want you guys to note that see these icons on each one of the forms? The blue one right here means that's the original form that you can open up and start typing in. So any of the blue form icon, those are editable. I can just start typing. That's the original. Each time it's signed, it comes back as a separate, excuse me, separate copy of the form and as a PDF. So you see that signed icon, and the difference is going to be, I'll open it and show you, right? If I were to click and open that, I can just start typing in all the fields because it has that blue icon, right? It's an interactive form. Versus if it comes back signed, this kind of touches on your question, it turns it into a PDF, right? So I cannot edit any of it because, right, it thinks they are only signed for the things that were on here. Right, so you can edit signed forms further. I'll show you that in just a second here. All right, but first I want you to understand that, right, there is now, when that form comes back signed, right, and you notice a mistake, you have one of two options. You can edit the original if you want to resend it for signatures, right, or we can edit the signed forms. But just so you guys know, right, the original copy will always still be in your room, and you'll have a second copy of it come back signed with that green signed icon, okay? Now, a step further for you guys to know, let's say you are sharing it with, 2 clients. You get an email every time one of your clients signs. So let's say you get an email that says, Paul Rudd signed the document. You go back into DocuSign right here, and you're like, I don't see it anywhere, right? It will not come back signed to your DocuSign room until all parties have signed the form. So if there's a husband and a wife and you need to sign, it will not show up signed like that until all parties have signed in your DocuSign room. Now, each time that you get an email notification that, let's say, the husband signed or the wife signed, you will see an attachment on the bottom that shows the form with just his attachment or his signature or 2 signatures, whatever it is. So you always get a copy of the form that's signed by just one of them, but as far as like via email. But if you go to DocuSign your room, it won't be here, the next copy, right? The original copy will be here, and you'll pull it up, open, and it's blank. I mean, it's not signed, right? It won't come back completely signed until all parties have signed. Good on that? Okay. So let's take a look at editing a signed document, if that would be helpful, because this will give you the same steps to editing a PDF. So the steps I'm about to show you, so just so you know what we're going to go through for the rest of class here, we have about 15 minutes here. I'm going to show you how to edit PDFs and signed forms in DocuSign, and then I'm also going to show you how to pull your signed forms into KW Command, because that's how you get paid. Your signed forms being in DocuSign is great for you, but as far as for the office to see them, they need to be in the Command Documents tab so you can get paid. So those are the 2 things we're going to go over, and then you'll be free to enjoy your day DocuSign free. But okay, so let's talk about editing PDFs or signed forms. Now, let's say an agent on the other side doesn't use DocuSign, sends you an offer to purchase via email. So it's now like an attachment, it's a PDF, and you want your clients to electronically sign it, okay? So let's say you got emailed, again, a document from the other agent, it's a PDF. You want your clients to be able to electronically sign this form, okay? So let's talk about how we would do that. And at the same time, it'll show you how to edit signed forms. So first of all, if you have that, if they send it over as an attachment to an email, you'd save it to your computer, right? So let's say it's in your documents. Well, then you'd come into add on the top right to pull it in from your computer, right? It'll search your computer, so then you can easily pull whatever that PDF is in. Okay, I don't have one on hand, right? But that's how you can pull a PDF in. And now the next steps will be the same for editing a signed form or a PDF. So again, I did that by add to my computer. All right. And then as far as editing a PDF, which I have one here, right? So all the signed forms are PDFs too. I know like it'll have this PDF icon if you bring it in from your computer, but the signed ones and the PDFs, they act the same way as far as DocuSign is concerned. What I mean by that is when I open it, right, it won't be editable, right? I cannot click to start editing this, okay? So, well, let's say I need to make an edit. Let's say his name needed to be Anthony Stark, right? And he's already fully signed this, okay? So these are the steps I would take, and these will show you the steps too, like if you've got a PDF and, you know, like the buyer signed and now you need your sellers to sign, both of these will apply, the strategy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to pull it into an envelope. So you can edit PDFs after you pull it into an envelope, right? And we did that before by like clicking the checkbox to pull it into an envelope. But you can also do it by clicking Document Actions on the very top. And you'll see that Create Envelope option again. All right, so that's how you can do it for a single form, or you can bulk add them to the envelope, right? So I clicked on Document Actions and then Create Envelope. And this will be very similar to what you saw before, right? Where it's going to ask you, okay, who do you want to receive this? So if you want, let's say the clients, like if they're going to have to sign for that change, right? Or if you want, you know, your sellers to receive it. Here, I'm just going to add. 1 second, let me add someone so you can see how it looks. And please stop me if I lose you, because I know this is kind of the next level parts of DocuSign. Okay, so I have my contacts added, right? And I'm going to go ahead and click on next, okay? Because I won't be able to edit it until after you add the clients in, and then this is the field that you're able to edit, and this is when honestly these like colors on the top really come into play. Okay, so here's this. So again, with the colored dots, right? You'll see all of these fields are in the same color as my current client. If I change it to the other client, all the fields turn to that color, okay? Now, why that's important is it's going to make them fill out the field that are their colors. So if we're adding, let's say we want them to sign, right, a PDF. So just use your imagination like that the buyer has already signed this offer, the agent on the other side sent it to you via email. So now we need to add initial boxes so that our client, our seller can sign, okay? So to do that, again, the color matters. I'm going to add an initial box. When I click it, you'll see it starts following my mouse. If you have a touch screen, it might act a little different, but it might not follow your mouse. If you have a touch screen, you can just click to drop it. So that's adding the initial field for my blue contact. So now to add another initial field, the other one for the other contact, I need to change it because I need a yellow one. Does that make sense to everyone? Do you know why we would use this? Do we feel comfortable in the when we would use this as well? Let me know if not. I'm happy to show you. So in theory, right, you would have to go down, well, this is an old offer, and fill out or add the initial boxes to the very bottom of each of the pages. Now that's quite annoying, right? To have to go through, I'm going to show you a shortcut in case you like shortcuts, right? It's kind of annoying to go through 13 pages plus now and add an initial box to each and every one, especially since I have to switch colors. So if you like shortcuts, all right, I'm going to show you kind of a next level shortcut, but I could copy, right? Because I need these two fields next to each other, like the next 10 pages, right? So if I want to copy and paste these, I can do that by clicking and holding my mouse, and like then it'll draw this rectangle and it'll select both of them. So again, to select both of them, you can do it in a couple of different ways, but I like to click and hold your mouse down. It'll select both, like it'll do this rectangle, let go of your mouse, it'll select both of them. And now I'm going to do Control Copy on my keyboard, which I know you can't see, but Control C. C as in copy. Control C if you have a Mac, it's Command C. Okay, so then I'm going to come down to the next page that needs it. I usually click where I want it to drop so it knows. And I'm going to do Control V as in Victor. Control or Command V if you have a Mac to paste that. Okay, and then I can keep going down and doing that. Right, now I can go to the next page, click, Control V. And I can move it around, like if it randomly lands here, no worries, just click and drag it down. Okay, so again, when we would use this feature is if, let's say the agent on the other side sends you a PDF of the offer and you want your clients to electronically sign it, you would have to manually add their initial fields if it was a PDF. Are we clear on that? Okay, one more thing, and I will show like if you want to make changes, but one more thing to note for signature fields when you're adding, like if you're manually adding it, right? If you're manually adding it, all the interactive forms, like the ones with the blue icon, has all this on there. But if it's a PDF, that's when we might need to add the signature field as well. I know this is an old offer, but the signature fields, just so you guys know, are separate. So initial and signature, there's one thing you do need to know is that you need to add the date signed field. So if you were adding a signature, only signatures, okay? If you are adding a signature box, if you want it to time and date stamp that signature, it will automatically, but you would have to add this date signed field. Now, this is only something you have to do if you're working with a PDF, right? When you're working with the interactive forms, you can just type in, that's all done for you. So this is kind of that next level of thinking. If an agent on the other side sends you a PDF, if you want it to date stamp it, you would need to add that field. So now I'll add my other client and, oh, no, not initial, date signed. All right, if I add the wrong field or anything, it's as simple as clicking on the field to delete it. So don't worry, you can move it anywhere as well. Okay, now how you would make changes to a signed form as an agent. So to address the question, let's say they signed it, but his name should be Anthony Stark instead of Tony Stark. Okay, minor change, but this is how you would do it. And this is really important and cool. But so on the left-hand side, remember how I've been talking about the colors of the contacts and their fields and that all matters? Well, exactly. So like if you were to lay, let's say, a text field in this color, well, guess what? The system would make whichever contact is assigned to that color, fill that out. And that can be really useful, you know, if it's like the property disclosure and you want them to fill out, you know, the age of the HVAC. Great, that would make them. If you add any text boxes in their color, it will make them fill it out. Okay, in this case, that's not what I want, right? I want to fill in the form as the agent because I'm making a correction, right? So this is kind of secret, like sneaky down here on the left-hand side. So where we spend all of our time usually, and this is really the only time I ever click the different icon. So on the left-hand side, you'll see this little pencil icon, and this has all the fields for you as the agent. Okay, so see how these are gray? And remember, like last time I told you there was like a little gray tab, and that means those are the fields that are on the form to fill out. So this kind of correlates there. So for example, let's say I want to strike out his name first. All right, so I'd pick the line option. It starts following my mouse, right? I can click the drop. Okay, so of course I can make that any size, but what I need to do now is add the text field in gray, right? This gray one means it won't force my clients to figure it out. It's going to let just me do this, okay? So now I can go ahead and double click to write in, let's say, Anthony Stark and Pepper Potts. I think I can just make it longer here. Let's see if it likes that. I want it to be longer. One sec, guys. Let me see if it lets me. Yeah. So to adjust the size of it, right, it wants you to put your mouse on the corner where these little circles are. You'll see your mouse turn into that diagonal arrow so that you can resize it. All right, but there's one last thing, right? If you make changes to a signed offer, typically you would need to get those initialed, right? And I'm still on the agent fields over here, right? The gray is the agent fields. So now if I want my clients to sign it, I'm going to go back up to where their color fields are, right? That's the very top one. And I could add an initial box, let's say for one of my clients, wherever that should be, say here. And then I can add the other initial box so that they can sign for that change. Does that make sense? Okay. And I know that's a lot, first of all. So if you run into this, just know, first of all, anything you run into with DocuSign, you're like, wow, I really don't remember this in class. You can make an appointment with me anytime, and I'll go over with you one-on-one. How you make free appointments with us, if you ever want to, is kwbresources.com. And then I need tech help on the top right. If you can hang around for like 5 more minutes, I'm just going to show you how to add your signed forms to DocuSign. to command, so you can get paid. But feel free, I need tech help on the top right, or if you're on a mobile device, you just need to click the menu icon to see this. And it's our Calendly link, so you can make free 30-minute appointments with us up to once a week. You can see we do book out decently early on, so if you want to make the next couple appointments with us, you can, one a week for free, anytime. All right, so last thing I want to show you guys is how to add your signed documents to command. Before I do that though, any further questions on editing the forms, PDFs, DocuSign in general? I do know it's a lot. Okay, but I don't mind answering it now if you want.
Well, mine is, like, I have both my clients signed.
Uh-huh.
And I got it that they did, and I sent it, but it's showing in DocuSign that it's still waiting for.
Signatures? Okay, yeah, will you pull up in that envelope? Go to the envelopes tab. Okay, yeah, you're there. Okay, and when you scroll down, what, is there another client?
Yes,
Okay, who's that?
she signed first. This is the wife.
Oh, because it just says she viewed. And this is actually good for everyone to see too, because like this rent, like it's wanting you to resend it to her. So I mean, I would recommend clicking resend, and I'm going to show everyone what. This is a good learning.
And if she signed it already?
Well, it says she just viewed it, but do you have the like it would
Like,
have
I have-
emailed her
Like,
you?
did something
I don't
wrong,
think
like,
so.
something wrong, like,
I've never seen.
see whether-
Okay. And so to show you what the question is, so her question was, all right, I sent it to my clients. She has 2 people have signed it, and now it still shows us waiting for others. Okay. So that's the question. Let me show you what you can do with that. Let me just get out of here. Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks, Crystal.
Everything in one envelope.
Uh-huh.
And they sign one, like, it doesn't come back in separate envelopes, or it both comes back in one envelope?
Well, the forms will come back as separately signed. But as far as like, did you get an email notification that she signed?
I did.
Okay,
But I sent them an email, but see, they signed the, working with real estate agents. And I only sent them this to sign, but then this is saying that it's waiting for them to sign.
Weird. Okay, I'll look at that with you after class if you're around. I do want to show you though, because you brought up a really good point, is I want to show you how you can resend it to the person. So let's say, remember how I said, okay, the signed form will not come back to your DocuSign room until all parties have signed. Now here's a different situation, so I'll take a look at that. But right, so that means, let's say the husband signed, 2 people have signed, but the 3rd person still hasn't, right? How can you get them to sign it, right? And they're like, so to get it back on the top of their inbox, okay, if you come back to the envelope, okay, so the envelope, once it's already sent, we go the envelopes, and then we can click on the envelope to open it. What I want to point out is this button, resend, and it might pop up just next to the other ones once someone signs. But what that will do, let's say if 2 people have signed but the wife hasn't, let's just say, and you click resend, it will only resend the documents that she has not signed back to her. So the other clients will not receive a reminder because they already signed, which I love because that would be confusing, right? So it will only send it to the person who is outstanding. So just so you guys know, if you ever run into that, I love that option to click resend. So that'll go straight to the top of her inbox. She doesn't need to go find it. It's right there. So just to let you guys know that. And then the final thing I want to show you guys is how to add your signed forms to command, because that's how you get paid by the office. Okay, so I have 2 tabs open here. All right, so you'll see the DocuSign tab has that yellow icon at the top versus the KW icon for my command documents. Now, the reason I want to draw a difference between the 2 is, okay, there is a DocuSign documents tab, right? But there's also a command documents tab. That was very, very confusing for me when I was first learning the systems. So the difference between the 2, okay? This is important for you guys to understand just in general. The documents tab of DocuSign is used between you as the agent and your client to get your forms filled out and signed, okay? DocuSign, you as the agent and your client. And then once they're signed, we add the signed documents to the documents tab of command. The document side of command here is used between you as the agent and the office for them to get your signed paperwork and for you then to get paid. So again, command is used between documents tab, you as the agent and the office to submit your signed paperwork, whereas DocuSign is used between the agent and the client to get your forms signed and get them signed and filled out. Let me know if you have any questions on that. If your head's spinning yet. All right, okay, so the main thing, this is the last final thing you'll need to know, is adding those documents, okay, is as easy as, since we already connected the two. So since I started the transaction here, it links DocuSign with Command. And let me actually add a PDF so you guys can actually see what it looks like, if you don't mind. It'll make a lot more sense if I have a PDF. Maybe I'll have one. PDF? Nope. One sec. Oh, sorry, do you have to go?
No.
Okay, good.
Just barely.
I just want to make sure I can look at your issue.
It's been bugging me.
Yeah, that's weird. I will say. We'll get it figured out, don't worry. Okay, so I just wanted to add, so anytime that you are adding your forms now to the checklist, okay, so where I am, I'm in the opportunity, and I clicked on the documents tab, right? And just a reminder, you can look through your opportunities by going right to the contact that you created them in, or to the opportunities tab, right, to find that opportunity. And in the documents tab, right, that's where we saw this checklist, because our workflow is, right, we select the checklist first and then click start a transaction. So since I did that, okay, it linked the two together. So what I usually like to do is this requirement column, I like to click on that so it sorts them in the order of the required fields first. So what this is saying is any of them marked with a red required, you have to have added to get your paycheck, or they won't release your commission check. The conditional ones down here, it just depends on the property if you need it, like, septic permit. Well, if there's not a septic tank, you obviously don't need that. Lead-based paint, same kind of concept. So you can see the conditional ones you don't always need, required you always need. So the first thing I usually do is click on the requirement field so that they're all sorted that way. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, these are the documents that I need. The ones with the DS mean they were pulled into DocuSign when I first started the transaction. So now when I click select here, I need to refresh, it's going to give me the option to pull in any PDFs or signed forms that I have in my room. And I'll show you an option too that you can pull it straight from your computer. So that's an option too. But if you did get that signed in DocuSign and that came back, right, see how that's showing now, normally it says something like working with real estate agents, right? It'll show only the signed forms, right? In that DocuSign room, I have a bunch of those forms with the blue icon, the interactive form, but it'll only give me the option to pull over PDFs or signed forms. It's as simple as a click, and now my signed form is in my opportunity. And I would go through and do that same process then for the exclusive right to sell. Right? If I had that signed, it would be the option here. Now, let's say we did the approach that I talked about earlier, that we typed it in, printed it out, and now I have a physical copy of the exclusive right to sell. Okay, signed. You would need to add it to the documents tab of Command here of the opportunity in order to get paid. So if that's the case, we do have a scanner here, right, in the office, and your email address is in there. So however you would like to scan the document with the office scanner right to your email, right? So, and then you can download it to your computer. And I'm happy to repeat this. But then you'll be able to attach it from, so you'll notice this top drop down is defaulting on attaching from DocuSign, because we started it in DocuSign. But if you want to switch to my computer, it'll then give you like the drag and drop option, or you can browse and search your computer for, let's say, that signed document that you had hand filled out and scanned to your computer. So that's totally fine too. We just need to make sure it's signed in the opportunity, and then you would click submit to MC for them to actually look at it. Okay, so that's the nitty gritty of the how, and I'm happy to discuss that further. But the last thing I want to tell you is when. Okay, well, when do I click submit to MC? Because they don't look at your file unless you click submit to MC on the top right. And you do that, okay, if you're representing the buyer, start there. If you're representing the buyer, you would click submit to MC once when you go under contract with all the contract documents, right? And you can see on the left-hand side that we have separate folders for listed, under contract, closed. Of course, if you're representing the buyer, it's only the under contract and closed. So with that being said, you click submit to MC when you go under contract with a buyer, and a second time when you close with that buyer, okay, with all the closing documents. If you're representing the listing, you would click submit to MC 3 times, and it tells you, it's just every time that, let's say, once it's live in the MLS, Sabre wants it in about 3 days that it gets turned in, right? But you can do it once it goes live in the MLS, then she wants it again when it goes under contract, and then again when it closed. And what I mean by she wants you to click submit to MC with the coordinating forms. A couple things on that. When you get to that point, I am happy to help you, right? If you just focus on right now getting your form signed and then you want to meet with me to go over this, we can do it together. Okay, that's one option. Also, Carla does transaction coordinating. She does just the compliance side too. So if you wanted like a discounted price to just help move over the compliance, and she does like teaching you as well, just know that's an option so that you're not alone in this. What questions can I answer? Because I truly know this is so much. So my goal of these classes is for you to understand that in general, these features exist. I have the tip videos to break it down, and we can meet together to really drill it in. I just know this is a lot for you guys to take in at once.
I had created old samples or templates
Mhm.
Before it was revised. So should I delete all of those and then?
Yeah, they don't. So if you did any templates, and I can show you guys, that's very cool. So if you wanted to pre-fill templates, you're right. So DocuSign has the ability that you could like type in your form, let's say the listing agreement, you could type in most of the things that are on every listing agreement, let's say. So then when you pull in the listing agreement for your next transaction, it's already half filled out with most of the information you need. The downside is each year the forms update. And so when that happens, a new template would need to be created. Exactly right. And I don't know if it kind of changed. So just to overview that, if anyone's interested, how you do that is in DocuSign in the My Documents tab. And they did just kind of recently change things around in case this looks new to anyone. So My Documents, if you did want to create form templates, so if I scroll down, you'll see My Forms, okay? And you can see if you have templates created, because right in this drop down, and you probably don't if you've never seen this before, but what we're looking at right now is all the forms and templates. But if you just wanted to see the forms you have templates for, you can click on the templates option, forms and templates, click on templates and click apply, and it'll show me these are the templates I have created. You probably don't have any. So how you would create a new one, okay? So how we would create, let's say, a listing agreement template. I would click on new template on the top right here. And it's going to ask me what form I want to grab it from. So do I want to look in it, the library or the form packets? The difference is the form packets are kind of broken down by like buyer, seller, etc., like this, versus, like all the North Carolina forms, all the South Carolina forms. So it makes it a little easier to find if you search by packet, but all the forms are there either way. And then you can select which form you'd like to create a template with. So let's say I select this top one and click use. It'll bring me in to start adding any information that goes on most listing agreements. Okay, so once you pull it into the actual room in the future, and let's say there is, I forget what's on here, if there's like, stucco or lead-based paint, if it does apply, you can always switch what the template says. But let's say a vast majority of the properties you're seeing are not stucco, or, don't have lead-based paint. If those are the things addressed here, right? I'm not an agent. But that might be something you want to do that's typically, whatever it typically is, I would recommend filling out, and then you can change it if you get an outlier listing that does apply otherwise, right? So the kind of things, like honestly, as far as what you're filling in, a lot of it too is like, how there are a lot of fields that you write NA, like it doesn't apply, right? Okay, instead of having to type in NA every single time, you can go ahead and fill it in once, and then that's the template that gets brought in every single time. As far as what to put in these fields, this is also hugely helpful. If you're in T group or anything, this might be something that like you could ask your T group partner what goes in these fields. Of course, I'm happy to advise further on this as well. But the idea is going through and filling out the form. And like the great thing is if you're a newer agent and you kind of don't know what goes in the forms, well, if you were to meet with an upper level agent one time, have them go through the form with you, type in what usually goes, well, then you have like a rough draft saved for you every time, right?
Well, I even did like I did Zabra's forms.
Yeah.
So
you went to a forms class with Sabra? I love that. That is a wonderful recommendation.
Filled out what she was saying, put in there.
Does she show you guys how to get here or anything, or no? She's showing you how to fill out the forms.
Showing her the form. I think she might have told them, but I also use them in T too.
Okay.
They go over the forms.
Good, and you do that.
I'll do my sample form.
I love that. I love that. I would really recommend that. And then of course you can save it. I could rename it to, let's say, my listing agreement And I can create multiple of these. So let's say, just an example, let's say this one is for, I'm going to pre-fill this out for cash deals. Okay. So I'm going to now make this listing agreement for all my cash deals. So I'm going to name it cash at the end. So I know what I can do is then just copy this exact template. So I'll show you guys. So I'm going to click save and close now. I could take this exact thing that I just made, make an exact copy, so it's all pre-filled out, and then just go change it to finance. And now I have a separate one for my finance templates, right, for my listings, and a separate one for my all cash deals. So like this example right here. So instead of going through and having to fill out the entire thing again, right, if you do want to have the same form as a separate template, I can click that down arrow and click copy. It'll make an exact copy pre-filled in already. So if you want to make any slight changes and have a second listing agreement for that other, situation you might run into, you can. Does that make sense? Yes. And of course, I'm happy to sit down with you and we can make these together. The last thing I just want to show you is how to apply the template. So that would be kind of your first step. And I know this is kind of next level. However, if you do create a template, how you would apply the template to your DocuSign room is, so let's say, because since the documents pull in automatically, right, what we typically want to do is right click on the document and you'll see the apply form template option. This option will only appear if you have a template. So for example, I don't have a template for the internet advertising agreement, so I don't even have that option. I do for this one. So let's say I'll click apply form template. I actually always use this as an example. So you can see, but for the example that you had like one for finance deals and one's for cash deals, you could select which one would pertain to this and quickly apply it. Cool. We feel comfortable with that? Yeah, it's very cool. And again, right, you guys knowing that this feature exists and then booking an appointment with me so we can do it together, or I have short videos on this as well. If it's not already on the notes, I will put it on there. Yeah, I'll add it on there after. So, I know that's a lot to take in, but know that you can come meet with me and I can walk you through it. We can do it together. Know it exists to make your life easier, and let me know when I can help you implement it. Any questions online or anything, feel free to jot those in the chat or hop on the speaker. Sure, great question. All right, so to take you to these notes, if you do want to come back, and I will add, so this is a Google Drive note, which is awesome because I update it before every class. So you'll always have the most up-to-date information, and you can bookmark this if you want to by clicking the star. Where this is, so kwbresources.com, right? Internal site for everyone. Just a reminder that the main video, if you lose everything else, the main video to watch on DocuSign is right here when you have your next deal and you want to walk through it and pause it to follow along. It's right on the homepage. But for the notes specifically, those are going to be under Tech Resources. So hover over Tech Resources, then Tech Tuesday calendar. And then I'll show you, what's coming up next. So next week we have Facebook marketing. It'll be a good one to come to. But then scrolling down to find that DocuSign option. And I will add the templates, creating templates on here as well. So if you are interested in that, but you'll see right, all these 10-minute videos are things like, what do you do when you go under contract? How can you print forms, right? If there's ever a tip video that you don't see on here and you want, shoot me an email. I'm happy to send that over. Here's my email, which I think you guys mostly have our email, but just in case, contact@JuLeahDesigns.com. Just to give you an idea of how the tech support works here. Of course, and I know a lot of you guys know this, we're happy to help in person. We teach the class. You can come meet with us 30 minutes free every week if you want to, and we're happy to help you. If you need like a super quick answer, like your tech is falling apart, you don't know why, is it glitching, or are you just doing it wrong? Support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'll put this in the chat too. They answer within 5 to 10 minutes. So especially if it's quote unquote an emergency tech issue, you can of course email us too, and we'll try to hop in as quick as possible. But support@scottleroymarketing.com, you'll get an answer within 5 to 10 minutes. They'll say something like, hey, we could just do that for you if you'd like, or here's a quick 10-minute tip video on how you can do it. They're super helpful. Anytime you contact them, it's free, always free. They do things for us for free. They're the virtual tech concierge. They are, yes, they really are. So just to give you an idea, and then of course, you know, make appointments with us. We can sit down, go through all this together. You're not alone in it. Just know that. And when you get your next transaction, you know, of course you really learn it once you're getting put in the fire. So feel free to get that new transaction. Great. Book an appointment with us is the first step. I'll help you prep your forms, send it to them. I'm here for it. Questions other than that, I will come to you. Okay, guys. Well, I'm sticking around for about, you know, the next few minutes here. So if you have any questions, anyone online, if you want to shout those out, or anyone here, I can show you whatever. But let me know if you need me. Thanks, Jules.